Yeah. I know they mad for no reason. I'm holding on to change my life. Gotta move fast for a reason. I'm holding on to change my life. Huddling, I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. Huddling, I'm staring at charts until I retire. Oh, 700K, I'm selling a Bitcoin. Haters mad, but they listen to this one. More profit coming to my direction. Yeah, you know me, I don't need a mention. I got the remedy, ooh, yeah. They don't just follow me, ooh, yeah. You say allegedly, ooh, yeah. You would subscribe to me, ooh, yeah. Staring at chart, drawing a line. Make a decision, you out of time. Huddling, huddling, huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. Huddling, huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. See on stage. On-chain revolution. Youngest. Boom.
Welcome back to On-Chain Revolution. My name is Shizzy. On this channel, we cover the entire crypto ecosystem. What's up, guys? We have an amazing show for you guys today. We're live for the On-Chain Hour, and today's episode is going to be absolutely awesome, guys, because we got news from the Solana trenches that could change everything. Some big players are not happy with the way things are when it comes to pump fund. We'll get into that and might have something to do with the Trump kids. So really interesting way to kind of get involved there and kind of go forward with that. I think there's a lot of opportunity right now in the trenches, and you just got to be able to find out and navigate that area. We're going to be coming in some other stuff as well. Wintermute put out something basically saying that the September or October 10th liquidation event is finally behind us. They feel like the dust is cleared, dust is settled, and we're gonna be getting into that type of stuff. And then Scott Bessent came out and he basically market structure bill is happening. We're gonna get crypto regulatory happening in the next week or two. The U.S. Senate AG committee is set to release their bill. There's a lot of amazing stuff happening in crypto right now. A lot of really big stuff that should make you really bullish, right? But the problem is retail is not here. Retail is just not playing right now, but they won't be here until it's too late, right? That's retail's game. Retail gets in, when things are pumping. They don't get their bags before, they buy them after, and that's how they feel comfortable, right? They want to make sure that they're not buying and holding for long terms. They're trying to get in and then get out. But in the meantime, there's a lot of opportunity in the market for us to kind of find what they'll be buying later. Right. That's the whole point of being this early to this next bull run that is happening. And when I say bull run, I don't mean for Bitcoin. Bitcoin's been in a 3-year bull. I think it has another year ahead of it. But I'm talking about the actual cryptocurrencies that we love and enjoy on a daily basis. The ones we're really bullish on. I think there's a lot of opportunity for them to run here. I know it doesn't feel like that today. My entire board right now is red, except for a few. Aster's green, Merlin's green. ETH Bitcoin is flat, which is nice to see. But we have Bitcoin down about 2%, sitting at 103,555. Ethereum down about 2%, just actually down almost the exact same amount as Bitcoin, which is kind of weird. It's usually what happens is if Bitcoin's down a little bit, ETH's down a lot of it, right? But we're not seeing that today, which is kind of weird. Kind of why the ETH Bitcoin is flat. The DXY, we need it to drop. We need DXY to go down. But I do think that's something that happens in potentially the first week of December when we stop the quantitative tightening, and then the people come in and then they start buying the rumor of quantitative easing. So I'm actually really excited to kind of get into that as well. But without further ado, let me bring in my partner here, as always, Mr. Yagobi. What's up, buddy?
What's up? What's up? What's up?
What's up, man? How you doing today? How you feeling?
Feeling kind of like this is a little bit of what I expected, right? And yesterday we did have a bounce back for Bitcoin, but I said, look, until we get at least 5 days of, and it doesn't have to be like aggressive each day, but give us at least 3 to 5 days of consistent uptrend, and then I'll feel like, okay, maybe we're back on track. Right now, it's just kind of back and forth, green day, red day, green day, red day. And until we get that consistency, then in my opinion, we're still healing, right? Maybe, like you said, Wintermute said we're getting close to that healing kind of ending. But that's what I need to see. That's what I need to see to get that conviction back. But right now, I'm okay with just having this back and forth until I see those signs.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing you said to me pre-show that kind of stuck with me a little bit was the fact that we haven't had like 2 days green in a row. We haven't even had like 2 red days in a row. Like, why do you think it's been so inconsistent from like day to day?
Because I don't think the market is ready for that. I don't think the market is ready for that. For one, whether that liquidation event on October 10th is still kind of healing. I think it's actually affected way more sectors than we originally thought. But I think it is healing. We are going through that healing process. And then 2, just market conditions in general, right? We have to talk about macro because that's a big part of what's happening right now. And that is the situation. We're not out of quantitative tightening until December 1st. And there's some rumors going around like on crypto Twitter that, there's going to be massive printing in December. You have some news of USD1 trying to really make a presence as well. So there's some things that can really, ignite the market. We just haven't had them happen yet.
Yeah, 100%. All right, let's get into our first topic of the day here. Solana trenches cooked. Massive liquidity shift incoming. Where's the next big move? And this is something that you've been researching heavily and kind of seeing what is happening over on the Solana trenches, which actually took you in a different direction than I think you originally thought, right?
Yeah. So, I love to put on my tinfoil hat. Everybody knows that. And sometimes I don't even realize I'm doing it. So that's probably kind of dangerous. I should see somebody about that. But, I'm getting down this rabbit hole, and I just, I always glance over into the trenches. And what I've seen this past week, I would say, you can even go back 2 weeks into like right before Halloween, is there's been a struggle for pump fund tokens to sustain market caps above $5 million. Now, it's not just unique to pump fund necessarily. Other kind of gambling areas, the 4.meme, they have a little bit more success. They can, but I get that the market is healing and stuff, but also makes me wonder, obviously I've been talking about how creator fees have been an issue. I do think that's the case, but also it seems like it's just too intentional to not, like, almost kind of like these coins are being suppressed. But going back to the creator fees being a big problem, you saw a token launch last week called Bangers that was a play off of the narrative of the Bangers account from X, which is this new account that's going to be posting like the best X posts and all these things. Everybody's getting excited about it. Ran a quick $3.5 million market cap, only to be brought right back down to like 1.2 million. And people were waiting from a post from that X account, the Bangers account. It happened 2 days ago, jumps to 5-6 million. And then yesterday, collapses to where I think it is now, around 500,000 or maybe less than that, right? And so and by the way, the developer or the deployer of this token, as it was running at 3 million, he's deploying 3 more tokens. You can see his history. And I'm in my mind, I'm just like completely like dumbfounded, because I'm just like, this dude is about to make probably, $150,000 if this continually goes the same way, just off of creator fees in the next 2 days, 3 days, right? But he's still concerned about getting that little money of the next, 3 tokens. So the model is broken, in my opinion. People can hate me for saying that. It just is. It almost makes me wonder, like, where are the retail people? And someone posted something pretty funny, and it made sense. It said, if you're still bidding new pairs on Pump Fund, I question your IQ. And it's almost kind of like, okay, some of these people might be smart addicted, but it does make sense. And, like you're talking about 98, 99%, even the ones that have a strong narrative, get a lot of holders, end up rugging to whatever that was, right? Going from 5 million all the way down. Now let's rewind it a week before that, before Halloween happened with South Park. That narrative any other time, would have ran to, in my opinion, like 50 million, maybe 100 million, who knows, right? It's struggled to stay above 5 million. Now that one's more resilient than this most recent one. But my whole point is something's happening. Either the entity itself got hurt bad on October 10th. I don't know. The builders are not immune to leverage, so we know that from last cycle. And then there's this other kind of slow cook of a narrative that's happening as well within the Solana ecosystem with USD1, WillFi, and Bonk. So what I've started to see and connect the dots is the America.fund launchpad is a launchpad that is backed by WillFi. They originally partnered just with Radium and Launch Labs. And they actually, if you want to launch a token with them, you have to fill out a Google form. So they have 3 tokens that they publicly backed. The first one is Valor, which is at like 7 million. The second one is AOL, which is the token of the actual platform, which I'm actually bullish on. It's sitting around 5 million. And the third one was, I think, the latest one called I think it's called Burger, which is kind of weird because Burger has success on Odin as well, right? Yeah. So this Burger one's the lowest market cap because I think it's the latest one at 1 million. But their whole deal is putting out quality meme tokens, right? And now they have announced they partnered with Bonk as well to kind of facilitate, I think, like whenever a token comes out, so they can kind of help with the marketing push with it, right? So if you go to America.fund's X account, you can see this entire week they've been putting out basically the post about kind of like crapping on pump.fund, right? Like 5 replacements for pump.fund and all these other like posts, saying, tell us your worst pump.fund story. You can win 100 AOL. And their whole objective is to kind of shine a light on, hey, the meme coins that we put out are going to be quality, right? So, that's kind of what's happening. And so there's this big USD1 push. So, and I'll wrap it up here because I've been talking for a long time. I know about this topic. I think two things could happen here, and I think actually both can happen together. Maybe just the first one first, with USD1 kind of saving some liquidity on Solana by putting out some of these strong new meme coins, and maybe because everything pretty much people launch now is paired with USD1 with the Bonk.fund. So I think that's what saves liquidity on Solana for a period of time. And then I think liquidity torch gets passed to maybe the Bitcoin ecosystem with Spark and some of these other builders, or some other environment that's really hot and exciting. So that's my thesis there. And by the way, Ian saying the screen is super small, so we need to let them know about going into the different link, I think.
Yeah. So all you got to do, so right now, Ian, you're in the mobile link. So now on YouTube, you're able to do a mobile and a normal. So just kind of go out of the mobile link and go back to the live screen, and you should be able to see the normal one as well. But yeah, so let's just we'll jump into that real quick. So America.fund is basically the Trump kids version of pump.fund, right? In that sense, it's kind of like that. So do they have I'm guessing bonding curves? Is there liquidity pools? Is everything being done, I'm guessing, through Radium, right? Because they are using technically Launchpad.
So those initial ones, yes, right. Okay. There is a bonding curve. As you can see, it says status graduated on each of them. But you're not going to see these launching very often, because if you want to launch a coin, you can click that in the top right and it will take you to a Google form. And so
Google form,
they're actually vetting the people that are looking to launch tokens with them. Wow. And so that's their whole objective, is to make it less risky. So they're almost the opposite side of the spectrum than Pump Fund. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know how people feel about that, except for people want to see wins, right? They want to feel like they have a shot again. So that's why I think people are starting slowly but surely kind of betting on them, right? And so if they have a treasury, I think of I want to say is it like, it's either like 180 million or like 700 million. I know those are crazy differences, but it's one of those numbers stick in my head. But they are talking about deploying into these USD1 coins because they want to really push the adoption of USD1. So I don't know what from someone on the outside looking in, right? Because I've been kind of researching that more of the trenches side of things. You've been more researching, these newer ecosystems and stuff like that. But obviously, you like to play every once in a while. I'm curious of what your perspective is on what I just kind of broke down there. Do you think that's a possibility? If it is, do you think it'd be successful, or do you think it's kind of burnt out there?
I personally don't like it. Like, I don't like American.fun because, like, I'm not a huge supporter of the way the Trump kids have been using crypto, right? I feel like it's almost like, they're right now they seem like they're the good guys because they are getting legislation passed and they are pro crypto, but I feel like they want to take crypto into what TradFi already is. A bunch of KYC, you know what I mean? They want to you can have fun, but you gotta have fun in our playground. So when it comes to something like Pump Fun, and I know your feelings towards Pump Fun and Elon, but I feel like almost like Pump Fun is the anti version of what they're trying to build a little bit, right? Like, I don't know. I don't really like the fact that you have to KYC or you have to pick you for you to create a meme coin on their platform. I understand, like, it's not going to rug, blah 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 blah. But then, what's the fun? What's the gamble, right? I feel like you can just go buy Doge.
Yeah, I mean, but you obviously want to get into a token at a lower market cap, right? So there's still the risk there, because it might not get as high as the other ones. The safer part of that is it's not going to go to zero, right?
Yeah.
And there, when you're talking about like 95% to 97% of all Pump Fund tokens go to zero, so you have to think about it from that perspective. And because at the end of the day, I think that statement was very correct. Like, if you are consistently using Pump Fund and bidding on new pairs, your IQ level has to be really, really low. Like, if you're consistently doing it, like, not taking a chance every once in a blue moon, but if you're like doing it like all day, right? And you're just constantly just giving your money to these deployers, right? And so it's almost kind of like, if there's no other show in town, then the people that are addicted to that are going to continually do it. But what do you do to change that? What can you do to get users? You can tell them, hey, look, you don't have to keep losing your money all the time, because the ones that we put out, we're going to be backing and having more confidence in. Whether you like that or not, I mean, there's going to be parts of our industry that's already happening that's going to be more centralized, more trying to give the public a safer option, because the public, a lot of times when they look into this, they don't want to touch crypto, other than Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Yeah, I feel like Pump Fun is kind of like your neighborhood bar that's like packed, but it has like these casino machines in there. They're in the far back, it's all the way back there. But you play over there, and you're just constantly losing, right? Because that's just kind of how they are. And then what these guys are doing, but there is no, you don't show your ID at the door. You walk in, you grab a beer, you go sit down at these gambling machines, and you just play, right? You just have fun. And then America.fun feels like the big casino that just moved in. Right, and it's just like, hey, come in, but when you have to go up, you have to valet your car, you have to come in, you have to show your ID, and then you're able to walk in, and then there's just like too many machines, you don't know what to play, right? I feel like it's just kind of like that, when I think everyone knows what they're getting into when you're sitting there at Pump Fun,
Yeah, but you do have like that small group of people that continually go back to those little machines, and those machines are illegal in a lot of states for a reason, right? And
I'm not saying Pump Fun's legal. I'm just saying
it is.
Until it's not.
What I mean?
But yeah,
exactly. So that's what that's the point. And there's this, and there could be several things that's happening with Pump Fund in the background. There's rumors that they're prepping for a big ICM type of push, right? Internet capital markets. And until then, it's probably going to be like this. And and then you know, maybe they feel like discouraged because like the WolfEye team is like partnering with their competition, and they know how powerful that could be, you know. So it's going to be interesting on Solana. I think the next 3 months is going to be very, very interesting on Solana, because you're starting to now see the next level of people that would support Pump Fund. And I'm not talking about like the KOLs that are constantly like trading and almost kind of like they work with Pump Fund almost. Like, I'm not saying that group, but the next level that's right outside of them that had huge wins before, and they have big accounts on crypto Twitter. And those type of people are getting frustrated and fed up with it, because it's like there's no sustainability. There's zero sustainability there. And so they're looking for where there's this sustainability. It's not on bonk.fund either right now. Like, by the way, bonk.fund token takes off right now on the platform. It goes to zero straight up too. So I'm not saying bonk.fund at this very moment is like the answer, but if there is this kind of master plan that's brewing with USD1, there's potential for that, you know, depending on how they roll that out. And I think everybody's curious about it.
Yeah. But I think the meme coins that you're kind of referring to are kind of like V1, and then a lot of this, you know, ICM and the streamer coins, right? I think they are doing really well. I mean, I saw, you know, the Bagwork guys, they're back at it. Their token went up almost 100% overnight. You got Draper Labs, they stream over there on Pump Fund every single day. We're streaming on Pump Fund over there like every day now. It's just one of those things where I feel like you know, I think what you're referring to is basically
everyday trenches.
The old, I think V1. I don't think a lot of people play the V1 anymore. Like I haven't played with a meme coin, and I don't know. I think since Goat dropped from that, what's his name, the main character,
James Wynn. Yeah, but
James
like
Wynn.
my point that like if you go look at the volume right now, Solana still has the volume, and Pump Fund has the volume. Like, you can see the volumes there. There's not a problem with coins hitting bond, and that's not an issue.
Yeah.
It's the issue is sustaining after that. And so like there's constant coins bonding on Pump Fund right now. So this is obviously like a deployer's game, right? And it's almost like they're bidding on each other's too, in a sense. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, who's really retail in this? Maybe like 20%, 25% of the liquidity is probably retail, and the other 75% is just pumping each other's stuff and then trying to get those creator rewards, I guess. But it is very like kind of a dog going back to its vomit right now situation for the retail users. And then for the deployers, it's some of them probably spend some, they're like investing in each other kind of, in a sense, right? Like let's keep this going, you know, to give that hope to people. And then once it gets to a certain level, it just pulls back.
Yeah, and then you said volume, but like how much volume is that real, right? Like, how do you know it's not like its own team? And we know that a lot of this stuff is bundled and all that stuff, right? So a lot of it's just still there. A lot of it is just scams to begin with, though, right? Like, so it's just one of those things where, like, how do we know Bangers just wasn't bundled to death, right?
Oh, it was.
That's
but here's the problem, though, is that like you can't use logic anymore there. You know, for an example would be like before you would try to use tools to say, okay, this token's not bundled. This token has less than 15%, and the top 10 is holding less than 15%. The dev is out. Clean coin, good narrative. Those coins can no longer get to even 200K or even 500K. So if you want a coin to actually have a shot at getting to $1 million, you're actually now looking for the bundled ones, because it's like, because they're pushing it up there. You get what I'm saying? And so it's like you can't use like good practice anymore with analytical tools on Pump Fund. You can't do it. Like, actually, it's the opposite. Now people look for bundled ones, because if not, then there's no life to it. You know what I mean? There's no. So whether it is these, you know, deploying teams that are colluding together to make it seem like there's a lot of life, the point is that the liquidity and volume is there. And on 4meme, it's not close. It's like 4meme is 4.meme on BSC is second, but there's a pretty big gap, even though we're in the crappy market that we're in. Like, Solana still, or Pump Fund still bonding tokens. They're just not, after they're bonded, they're like it's a crapshoot. It's almost kind of like rolling dice with craps, right? When are you gonna crap out?
Yeah, I definitely get it for sure. All right. Any last words on this? Because like, you know, it is one of those things where I don't know if I like it or not. I don't know if I like this American DAO. Any
Well, I
last
don't
words?
like their UI for sure.
Yeah.
It's definitely 1998 Windows, right? And but I am I am a little bit excited about USD1 and what they plan to do with that.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the only hope that, like, Solana keeps the highest liquidity for the next, like, run up that we have, right? Because I think, if USD1 and WillFi and that group can't bring some, like, hope to the retail users there, then liquidity is going to shift somewhere else that does offer that. Whether that's going to be, like I mentioned before, Spark, or and
Mhm.
I do think it's going to have to be something that has either extremely innovative or similar situation, big name. You got David Marcus, ex PayPal president,
Mhm.
big, kind of teams working together for that, or something that's extremely innovative that's, catching people, saying, hey, this is different. I want to be new to this. It's different.
Mhm.
One of those two situations is going to happen. Now, I still think that's going to end up happening, but if WillFi can do something here with Bonk or America.fund, then I think maybe that's prolonged a little bit, right? So the liquidity can stay on Solana for a little bit longer. But I think in general, a lot of people are burnt out there.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. Just kind of getting some housekeeping real quick. So today, for the first time ever, we are live on Zora. Zora, look, dude, they got people buying this coin like crazy over here.
Hey!
Up to 17K market cap. We're not asking anyone to buy any of these coins. We're live on Pump Fund. We're live on Zora, sorry. And you guys come over here, you get in this chat, get in that chat. But this is all just something I just want to let you guys know about. We're right now we're streaming live on YouTube, on Twitch, on X, on Abstract, on Zora, on Rumble, on Pump, and Kick. So we're live pretty much every single place that you guys can get in where you fit in there. So any place you want to watch us right now, we got 3 people watching over on Zora. So shout out to all you guys there for sure. Crypto Granny says, just sprinkling a little granny magic on the way. Shout out to the first real Zora comment. But I appreciate that for sure. But let's jump into some main topics of the day. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent announced new rules providing a clear regulatory path for crypto ETPs, exchange-traded products, to stake digital assets and distribute rewards retail investors. And then we have the U.S. Senate AG committee releases crypto market structure bill. The bill adds registration rules for brokers, exchanges, and custodians, plus customer safeguards. DeFi and stablecoin rules remain open as lawmakers work to merge it with the Senate banking draft. So this is something Trump was trying to get. He wants to get this passed. He wants to get this on his desk. Right now, it's just a bill. It does have to get passed by the Senate and the House, and then we'll kind of see where it goes from right there. But regulatory clarity is coming. The Senate's new market structure bill gives the CFTC real authority. So we'll be actually going away from the SEC and having the people that are regulating crypto will be the CFTC.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they handle things, because they're not really in the spotlight or headlines too often,
Yeah.
right? Because their assets, I think, to TradFi were kind of more boring, right? And they're dealing with the more tangible asset side of things and stuff like that. But I'm glad that this is happening, because now we have structure, right? That's starting to build out, and we do need to have cop on a beat that's actually doing that job, not like GG was talking about when he was the head of the SEC. That was all just smoke and mirrors for him. And so this is going to be interesting to see how they handle the space. But they're going to be working with the SEC. You have Hester Pierce and her group and that team. I think that's necessary as well. So let's see what happens. Let's see what comes of this. I know that it's not that you don't like centralization per se, because I do think that you do think it's needed in very specific situations in our space, but I think that's going to grow. I think it's just going to grow, you know what I mean, as market structure continually grows in terms of regulations and stuff, because when the corporations come in, that's what happens, man.
Yeah, 100%. I actually want to get away from the SEC completely. I mean, crypto is not a security. There's not, you know what I mean? Like Security Exchange, Commission. Like, why do we need to be? Why does Hester Pierce need to stick her nose in the Coinbase's business when it comes to base chain? Right? I just don't feel like it's not a security. It doesn't even pass the Howey test. We need to move on from that. And I think going and being over in the CFTC will, the Commodities Futures Trading Commission, right? So I think we should be over there. I think we should be treated like gold, especially Bitcoin, in the sense of this not a security. It doesn't fall in that line. And I think we got to get away from that. I think, and then having the next SEC commissioner, no matter who that is, keeps his nose out of this business when it comes to, if we do end up being in a democratic area again.
Yeah, I mean, if they can come up with that type of market structure that kind of clears that question out of the, that's no longer a question, then yeah,
That's what this
of
bill's
course.
for. Yeah.
If I mean, then you just kind of, dissolve that kind of department over at Hester Pierce. But I do like her. I feel like she can kind of work on. She can work on that CFTC side. I don't know. But at the end of the day, if this gets rid of him, it gets rid of him. But at the end, I feel like we need to have some sort of we do need to have like a fair, clear kind of cop on the beat. And if the CFTC can do that, then that's good.
I don't think we need that at all. I think we need a CFTC to say, hey, you're a security, or you're not. You're a commodity. And if you're a security, then the SEC takes care of you. And if you're a commodity, then you get taken care of by the CFTC. I don't think needs to be that line in the sand. I just need to say, hey, can you pass these decentralization tests? And if you can, you're a commodity. If you can't, you're a security. I mean, it's easy, that simple. But I think they should give 2 years to have that structure be put in place, right? I don't think you can go to base chain right now and say you're a security because you're centralized. I think you have to wait for them to issue their token and put that out and give every thing 2 years before you kind of shuffle them in and say what they are or what they are not.
Well, then in that case, then you do need a SEC department that's going to handle the digital asset companies that are going to be determined at that. You know what I mean? And so if you're saying that the CFTC comes up with that, ruling, then you're still going to need Hester Pierce and her department to handle those companies that are like that. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
so
I think when I say crypto, they're just using crypto rails, but they're stocks. So
they will have a token. They're still a part of the space. They're going to have heavily be involved. We're going to cover them. You know what I mean? So they will still be a part of our space, our sector. Also, when I'm at a cop on the beat, I'm talking about to kind of set rules for people that are not doing the right thing. That's what I mean by that.
Yeah. I think every company should have 2 years to issue a token to make sure it's decentralized before it gets judged, and then when it gets judged, it's either security or non-security. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And then if you're a security, you get Hester Pierce will have her own sector of crypto rails companies, because that's at the end of the day they'll just be companies. And then you have your decentralization, which I think Aave passes, Morpho passes, and all these decentralized entities will pass. But you'll have your crypto companies. I mean, for sure. I just wouldn't be investing in like a crypto company. I want decentralization. But for instance, all right, so Albert Amari says crypto is lame now. You can't bring it up in a conversation without looking like a complete clown. Yeah, and in in 2019, I'm sure it was the exact same, right? In 2016, I'm sure it was exactly the same. So it's like that usually happens in the beginning. But I think you're wrong though. I feel like if you're bringing it up, a lot of people like the normies, they understand what Bitcoin is, so they're like, oh wow, you got in Bitcoin. So no, I disagree with that. I think if you're bringing up that you're in crypto, most of them don't even know what Ethereum is, right? They just assuming you're in Bitcoin.
So this is an interesting point. I think he has a point here, but I think this is I'm not talking about you, Albert, specifically, but I think this is more of a crypto natives problem. It's almost kind of like internally we feel like this because it hasn't gotten to our expectations yet. And I'll tell you why I think that. You know, I was at like a get together 2 months ago about a guy that I was talking to crypto about at these get togethers and parties in 2000, I want to say 19 or 20. And he was the one that came out and said something like this, you know. And it's funny because he was just like, you know, I didn't want to talk about crypto, but the more he drank, he finally like asked me a question about it. And I was just like, okay. So actually, I think like the public right now, people that are pretty intelligent, they are asking questions about it. And you know, for example, like my wife's friends and stuff like that, they'll be like, hey, you know, can your husband set up a, you know, little get together to kind of explain the basics of like where the industry is heading and maybe what we can do for educational things. I'm not saying everybody thinks that way, but the public that is trying to look for opportunity, they are still thinking that way, but they're not entering because they are nervous, you know. And I get why, you know, they're nervous right now. But yeah, I do think this is more of an internal thing. And I, you know, not that example is a prime example of that person I was talking to that day. And I could kind of understand where he was coming from, and you know, until the drinks kept flowing, and then I was like, well, let's play poker or something.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, if anyone ever asks you, hey, can you come over to a group of people and explain crypto? Just tell them that you don't speak English or something, because it's the worst. It's the worst to be in a room full of normies and you're the only crypto person there. To me, in my opinion, it sucks, right? Like you don't even want to be like, no, you don't want to talk to you, because like anyway with me, like I just stay away from all normies. I'm with you guys. That's it. Like this is what I do. I don't like normies. I'm actually going to start a trend where it's like, you know, punch a normie day, where you just have to go out and just punch a random. No, I'm just kidding. Cash Cats is coffee and the donuts and doggo doing. Shout out to Cash Cats. Ian's had a comment for Albert. He says that's because most people don't understand crypto. 99% of the people in the world do not understand the next financial system that is being built right now. So. A lot of them don't even understand the first one that's been built for the last 100 years, right? And they don't want to know. They just want to get their 401ks, they want to get their paycheck and go grab a case of beer and go home and watch, you know, the
game or something,
or the game or no-go news. And real quick, Superfan says applying to a launch a coin feels like an ICO. Coinbase's new launchpad is also going to get heavy. Yeah, so basically, Coinbase is going to have their own version of America.fund, because we were kind of talking about it earlier. But they're, you know, obviously, like they're going to have like Monad and stuff. It's going to be actual companies, you know, blockchain type stock companies. So, all right, let's move along here. All right, dude. So there's some problems again with China. China accuses the U.S. of seizing 127,000 Bitcoin worth about 13 billion, calling it a state-level hack. The U.S. says it was a lawful seizure tied to fraud. Tensions between both nations rise again after we just were good last week. I don't know, but China claims the Bitcoin was stolen from its Lubian mining pool in 2020. So this is something that happened almost 5 years ago. Later taken by the U.S., the DOJ insists it seized the coins legally from the money laundering case linked to Chen Zi. Chen Zi was one of the guys who got booked, I guess. But yeah, so how do you feel about China saying, "Yo, give us back our $13 billion of Bitcoin. It wasn't yours to take"?
Sounds like people need some money. No, I'm just kidding. That's kind of like if I don't know, like you didn't you won in fantasy football by like a default kind of thing, and I was like, dude, that was unfair, like, or whatever. And then people are like, do you really need that money? Yeah, probably, but like, you know what I mean? Like, this is billions of dollars, but this is old, right? This is, you're talking about from before. But yeah, this is interesting, and it's I wonder like who's churning these type of headlines out, you know, right whenever we feel like, you know, China and the US are good again. Oh, let's go and mess the market up again, right? It's absolutely wild.
Yeah, and I got this from Coin Bureau. So these guys, you know, obviously a third party. So it's just like this is. So we'll see what happens from this. I doubt the U.S. kind of gives up this Bitcoin. They're not just going to send it to China and say, oh yeah, you know what, you're right. But China says, hey, it was on their grounds, right? Like this should be theirs to confiscate. So they're fighting over who gets to compensate Bitcoin at this point. So, but it is good that it's a conversation, because I think 5 years ago they would have been like, here, just take the Bitcoin, like we don't care. But now it's like, you know what? That's our Bitcoin.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And they actually care, showing that they care and they want the Bitcoin, right? And then so China likes Bitcoin, I guess. You got to say that.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, who doesn't? All right. So when it comes to countries, anyway. All right, moving along. No, China. Oh, no. Hayden Adams today, he said, he came out with this is a post from yesterday. He said, I'm incredibly excited to make my first proposal to Uniswap governance on behalf of Uniswap. So Uniswap announced yesterday, and they had this big article out there over on uniswapfoundation.org/blog, basically saying how they're going to start taking fees. So right now, when you basically do a swap on Uniswap V2 or V3, what happens is you do pay a fee, but those fee goes to the liquidity providers. They want to add, and this governance proposal passes, a fee that goes directly to the foundation. And the foundation wants to buy back and burn Uni tokens, creating very similar to what they have with Hyperliquid. So, but in order to do that, they're going to have to put like a 1% fee on all, Uniswap swaps. How do you feel with this?
Yeah. I mean, I do feel like the 1% probably won't be noticed by many people. I don't know, man. Like the thing about adding, percentages to the fees, it hurts, but at the same time, like if the market is good, then people are still going to trade volume, right? But this is good for the governance, right, and being able to do kind of give back to the people that believe in them in a way as well, right?
Yeah.
Do you like it?
I do. I like the buyback and burn feature that a lot of these companies are going to, because I do feel like, what's the point of the Uni token right now? I think what's the point? You hold it, you get exposure to DeFi, right? That's one reason why a lot of these bigger entities want to hold the Uniswap token. But what's the real reason? This actually gives me a reason, because like even if I buy, let's just say 20 grand worth of the Uniswap token, my governance vote isn't going to mean shit. Like I'm not gonna, I just have to agree with the majority, because what's the point, right? Because a lot of the votes are like 65 to 70% of everything gets passed. So there's really no reason for someone like me to even try to vote on governance. But if I'm holding the token and I'm betting on the fact that they will do the most swaps out of any DeFi protocol, meaning the fees will be more than any other DeFi platform, and they're going to use those fees to potentially buy back and burn the Uni token, that gives me a reason to hold the Uniswap token, because I'm not only am I bullish on the fact that they're going to do the most volume, but that volume actually goes and helps my bags, because now there's less and less tokens in circulation.
Yeah, for sure. That, tokenomics kind of being like live and working live, right? In terms of the buy and burn back, that's definitely an exciting thing. I feel like Uniswap is kind of its legacy, because you're talking about like 2020, 2021 really being it was the first DEX that got motion, right? That got motion. And so I clump it with like those initial infrastructure projects and stuff. But could it be like this thing where you zoom out and then it just continually appreciates as well, right? Like the Litecoins and those other ones, right? Unless there's one day a situation that Uniswap ceased to exist as a product, right? A decentralized product. But I think that they got in so early that their SDK is everywhere, right? Because everybody's using like version 1, 2, and 3. So I think you're good. So I do look at the actual asset itself as like an ever appreciating asset, because it's not going anywhere. You know what I mean? People are they get paid for swaps down the line, that trickle all the way down, right? So to your point, though, it does give some more excitement to say, okay, I know that you guys are just really believing in us and stuff like that, but let's give you a little something extra. We're going to be able to buy back and burn and give you more value.
Yeah, for sure. But you do have to remember there is incoming tokens every day, right? So right now, there is in circulation, there's about 629 million tokens, but the total supply is 1 billion, right? So there's another 40% of the supply that still has to come in, right?
Mhm.
So that's one thing that scares me as somebody potentially holding a token. These unlocks happen daily, right? So there's new tokens entering the market. What if now we can actually take it and make it nominal to where, you know, the amount coming in and the amount burned are exactly the same, or on average, and there is technically no new tokens coming in. That is, in my opinion, is another reason to hold this, right? Like, I
Yeah.
just feel like, I mean, I'm worried about the 400, 40% of the supply still coming in.
Yeah, to hold it and support the 1% increase in fee for sure. If they can, if that is something they communicate to kind of match it and offset it, then I think you pretty much sold me on that, right? If you are a true believer in Uniswap and the future of Uniswap, I think they're set up very well, right? Like I said, their SDKs everywhere. People are just white gloving it or white labeling it. So yeah, I think that's a good plan if they can get the votes for it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the best part about decentralized thing, right? Like this guy, Hayden Adams, he is the creator. He was the one. It was his brainchild was the liquidity pools and how it worked in decentralized way. And now this is his first proposal too. That's pretty big. This is the only thing that he's ever proposed after creating the protocol. So and he obviously he's a big head, but Uniswap, it seems like everyone loves it. It's up 76% today on the last 7 days, 25% in the last 28% in the last 24 hours. But on the week, it's up 76%.
Yeah, I mean, I see it on my crypto bubbles as well, and it's good for Uniswap because, they're not always, their token's not always in the headlines and stuff like that. And so a good way to give exposure to them as well, right?
Yep, 100%. And just so the proposal is exactly this: activate the protocol fee switch for Uniswap protocol so that a portion of the swap fees is collected by the protocol rather than just the LPs, and direct those funds to burn the governance token Uni. So this is the exact vote. So I'm guessing there's going to be another vote on the percentage of the swap fee. So it might not be 1%, it might be lower. So we'll find that out in due time. But Lido said, hold my beer. And they put out an article and they said, hey, don't forget us. Lido DAO community has proposed a new liquidity buyback mechanism aiming to deploy LDO and wrapped staked ETH liquidity as a Uniswap V2 style LP position and ownership held by the Aragon Agent. So this is an AI agent. The Aragon Agent serves as Lido's DAO's on-chain executor. It securely holds assets, interacts with DeFi protocols, and carries out transactions approved by the governance function as fully decentralized. So how do you feel about Lido saying, hey, when people do these swaps, we're gonna give those fees to our agent, and our agent is going to buy back and burn the Lido governance token?
I mean, this is going to be exciting to kind of see how this plays out because this is the first one that I've heard to where they put a agent kind of in charge of execution via governance, right? And so, man, it's like the space is changing with the agentic market, right? Kind of coming in and saying, hey, look, you already have decentralized smart contracts. Now you're going to have an unbiased kind of agent, right? Obviously, that's the goal is to make sure it's unbiased, right? And executing all this stuff too, right? So I think this is really cool to see this kind of in action after going through phases of the AI period, right? It started back in 2024 to get really in terms of the agents and people saying, oh, well, I mean, we're pretty far away from these things. Well, not as far as we thought necessarily. Now you're starting to see these agents being able to be utilized as executioners, like being able to execution, like this is going to be like a lot of money, a lot of value and things that they're going to be handling. So I'm bullish on that.
Yeah, I'm bullish on it too. Lido potentially just became, they probably they're trying to figure out use case for this. And they're like, when they saw that Uniswap just dropped this proposal, they were like, let's just do this too. Their proposal is a lot different though. They're just the fees from the LDO token and the wrap stake ETH that it's just the fees that pool earns will be used to burn the Lido token, basically. But they could have other pools as well. They could have Lido and normal staked ETH. They can have Lido and ETH itself, right? And you start burning these reward pairs of these tokens. So this is pretty big, in my opinion. I do love the fact that you're seeing these old DeFi dinosaurs, or the infrastructure, as I like to say, out there, and they're actually doing new things with new ideas. They're already like Lido and Uniswap are already looked at as two of the biggest DeFi protocols on ETH. They do pretty much more volume than, I would say, even all the launch pads, right? So I'm really kind of excited for this and kind of see where these guys go because of this.
Yeah, I'm excited too. You know, this is the first that I'm hearing of really injecting an agent that is going to be responsible for a lot of stuff in terms of monetary value.
100%. All right. Let's kind of get into the Bitcoin and crypto price action. And then the crypto bubble is really kind of excited to kind of see. I haven't checked Bitcoin's price in a while, and 1035. This is not too terrible, right?
Well, it seems like we found a little bit of a footing here, so we'll definitely pull that up here. But guys, before we get into the Bitcoin price action, help us out on the YouTube side. Today's a little weird because we did try something that's new with StreamYard. We have the mobile side, mobile display, and then the landscape traditional PC display. So there's two links there, so you can go find them. I'll put them in the chat as well. If you need the PC landscape, it's right there in the chat. But subscribe to the channel on YouTube. If you're not subscribed, turn your notifications on, all that great stuff. And then on the X side, let's share this space and everywhere else. And welcome to the Zora, welcome for the Zora audience and all the new audiences that we've onboarded. Look, we're going to try to be everywhere because that's our goal. We're consistent and we want to put out news and educational material for you guys. But let's get into some price action here, starting with the hour charts. I'm going to pull that up right now. I have so many screens up and making sure all these, these streams are good. All right, let's take a look here. Yeah, so I did have a little bit of a gut feeling that we were going to reverse the gains from yesterday, which I'm not too upset about. The past couple of weeks, I did let it get to me a little bit more. But you can see, we actually rose up to 107 on, what was that, Monday evening, right? So we wicked up to this point, right? And that looked pretty good. But like I said, we need consistency. We need days of multiple upward trend. And until that happens, I don't think we're gonna, we're just gonna have this kind of seesaw type of action here. And we're just chilling right now. You can see we're at 103, 500. The MACD looks, doesn't look like super like it wants to bleed out, like it's just wants to bleed all over the place yet. So we do have a chance for this to kind of get curbed a little bit. We do need to see this breakdown here, kind of flash to the white side, and then this blue line start to curl up and head towards that orange line, because that's whenever you want to flip the momentum, come out of sell pressure and go into buy pressure. The stochastics kind of did a fake out to the upside and says, hey, no, we want to stay down here longer. So I wouldn't be shocked if we do have a further breakdown, right? Just because like these indicators aren't really showing us yet that they want to break this sell pressure down and come back up. So if we get down to 102.5 or even 101, look, we were just there last week, right? So I'm not too worried about that. Let's take a look here at the support and resistance on the hour chart, and we're going to bring this data back to 5 a.m., which is a great time to do that. And so this 5 a.m. this morning Central Time, you can see where we are. It's pretty balanced, right? You are seeing a little bit of an edge on the resistance side, but not much. It's really balanced out now above that, the 103,600, and there's decent volume here. We're getting obliterated right here at 103,600. So looks like this area going from 103,850 to really 103.5. So that $300 gap is being dominated by resistance. So it's kind of like sellers in this area for sure. Now this area right above, and where I'm kind of circling my mouse, is very low volume. So if we can get above this, which is very high resistance, then we could possibly continually push up. But yeah, so I think best bet probably is just trying to try to keep chopping at this area, the 103,600. But you can definitely get tired out there. right? And see where we are right here. We're kind of just hanging in this area. Maybe we just try to stay within 103,550 to 103,400, right? So that is kind of what I got for the second half of today, right? If I had to say, I would say it does look like it wants to have a little bit more of a downtrend. It's not hyper aggressive, but as we know, that can happen at a snap of fingers both ways, right? And so we really need to see kind of how the next 2 to 4 hours play out to get a clearer view on this and see if we do break down, do we lose control? Because if we lose control under here, it's pretty lopsided whenever you get down to this area, right? And over here, it's also kind of favors the resistance. So, at the end of the day, like I said, it gets to 101. I'm okay with it. We were there last week. Until we get that consistent 3 to 5 days consistently with an uptrend, then we're still healing from October. The 4-hour chart. Looks like it just came out of buy pressure. So we're starting our sell pressure session here. So not really aggressive just yet. So we'll see how this continues, right? So we are officially in sell pressure on the 4-hour chart. So that, that could mean that we might be here for a minute, next like 2 days, right? So we'll see how this continually plays out. But that tells me maybe, right, if there's another continuation on this next 4-hour MACD candle here, that 1-hour chart could be heading towards that 102, 101. So we'll see if that happens there. The daily, man, the daily is the one that really messes me up on Bitcoin, because I felt like we had such a good setup here. Man, we had such a good setup. You can see right here, it just looked really good coming out of the sell pressure. And then this is absolutely a hate whenever this happens too. And it just like fakes out to the downside. It's not fully a fake out just yet, but it just doesn't feel good right here whenever you're about to come out of the sell pressure, only to kind of have it curve back the other way, right? Does this open back up? We have seen situations here where like it looked like we were going to close this out. Now it wasn't as close back here, but it was heading towards it, and then we just faked back out to the downside, and we had a prolonged sell session. So with this one, definitely gonna be watching this, right? Because it could go back the other way. But with the 4 hours showing me, I don't know. I think we would have to have some bullish news come in, from headlines and stuff, and really kind of have this almost forced to the upside, right? But that is the daily for Bitcoin as well. Ethereum on the hour, sell pressure there, very similar to Bitcoin. It looks pretty decently aggressive for Ethereum here. Let's go to the 4-hour, same thing, just started the sell pressure for Ethereum on the 4-hour, and then you go to the daily, same situation, right? Well, actually, this one looks a little bit better, but it doesn't really matter to me, because if Bitcoin doesn't really come out of the sell pressure, Ethereum's not going to kind of go on its own. We're not in that type of sentiment right now, right? And you can see here, it looks better than Bitcoin, but it's very similar. It's not going to just do its own thing and just all of a sudden shoot up $1,000, right? So Ethereum's really just kind of waiting on Bitcoin on that situation. Let's look at the crypto bubbles. Bubbles about a 50-50 split here on the top 100. Uniswap, we were talking about them really, benefiting from that, governance hope that gets through, up 30% there. Aerodrome, which is actually a competitor of Uniswap, it's partnered with Base as being basically the main swap there. It's up 12.5% there. You got VET up 5.4%, so that's interesting there. Immutable X up 2.1%. Tau up 1.6%, and you got Soon up, this is one I was looking at the other day. I think they're kind of doing something similar to OR, to where you can like get emissions or rewards or something like that. So they're up 9.4%. Then you got Zcash with the 12.5% pullback, sitting at right under $500, right? So if you bought back in September, you're still up. Zcash is an interesting one for me, because I don't know if this is a discount for them, or because if they've had a very strong run up, right? Are they done with their run up? BNB had a very strong run up 2 months ago, and so is this kind of a rotation of, okay, we just it's privacy. This is the leading privacy and stuff like that. So this is an interesting one to me. But I think the people that did get in late September, early October, probably taking profits and they're happy with that, right? So what do you think about Zcash? I'm curious.
I'm bullish, dude. Like, I feel like I'm bullish on it not as an investment. I'm bullish on it just having a few, right? Just in case, right? Like whatever, the reason why like people held Bitcoin in the early days of Bitcoin is just like, you know what I mean? Like if anything did ever happen, I could use Bitcoin, but nowadays you can't because Bitcoin is so tracked. Like they can figure it out, and any off ramp that you try to do or anything that's ever connected to you in the past can find out that Zcash is different. Like there is none, right? No, you can't see how many wallets hold this asset. You can't see the transactions happening on chain. It's one of those things where it's the most anonymous cash system in the world. So if let's just say you were trying to buy something in the future and we're all on chain, but you don't want to see people you buying that item, whether it's I'm talking about like legal stuff, right? But maybe you don't want to see people, I don't know, you bought a dress or whatever reason, right? Like I just feel like it's one of those things where having a few might be a really good idea, and who knows, these things could go to tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I do think there's risk in it because the powers to be could start to slam down on it in the future at some point.
But why do they slam down on the exchange level, right? Still, that doesn't
Exchange
affect you if you
level,
bought it as a non-investment. If you bought it as just something to hold in your ledger, just to have just in case reasons, then it doesn't matter to you.
yeah, well, you're gonna have to figure out how to get it. Like if they're going after every exchange level, right? From how are you gonna get it? How are you gonna get onboarded to
Decentralized,
it?
you can get decentralized. There's decentralized platforms where you can basically swap Bitcoin for it.
So you probably gonna try to find some bridges, right? If they get the global powers or whoever powers to be get hyper aggressive on it in the future, they're gonna try to say you'll get this punishment for using this and that. I think right now though, for this year and next year, I think it could be a huge opportunity still, right?
Yeah.
But it's an interesting one, that's for sure. All right, so let's go into the top 200 here. You got Merlin up 8% here, sitting at 8%, 38 cents. You were talking about how like when Bitcoin pulls back, Merlin just flexes its muscle there.
It really
a
does,
bit.
dude.
Yeah, so that's interesting and super exciting for the Merlin holders, right? Everybody that's involved with that. Fartcoin pulling back 5.3%. Is it crazy that we used to look to Fartcoin as kind of like a sentiment thing?
I still kind of do in that sense. Like, I think that, I don't think retail is here. I think Farcoin is the retail token of this cycle. And to see Farcoin not being bought up just shows me that retail is not entering.
Yeah, yes. Not new retail, I don't think, but old retail maybe, yeah. Because new retail would probably be like, I'm already nervous. I don't want to buy a fart
Well,
coin.
that's what I'm saying. They're not going to buy anything. But like, if they get in and they start buying Solana again, like, oh wow, I remember this thing at like 2 billion. That's a retail mindset thing. I remember this at 2 billion, and right now it's whatever it is, 100 million or wherever it is now. I feel like that is a retail mindset of that's when we're going to see kind of Farcoin start moving up again when retail re-enters the Solana trenches. And I think that's why Solana trenches have been so shit too, is because the number one coin in the Solana ecosystem is Farcoin. Right. And in my opinion, right, that's just my opinion. It could be, you could say it's dog with hat or whatever else. But in my opinion, I think the main coin in the Solana ecosystem for retail is Farcoin. It's funny.
Yeah. Well, also, Fartcoin was leading. It was constantly like ahead of Dog with Hat after it started getting momentum.
Yeah.
And now it's below Dog with Hat. So I feel like the people that came in early 2025 into the Solana trenches that got into Fartcoin,
Yeah.
I think they got hit by the October 10th thing. Because if you look at the market caps and just the sell down of Fartcoin compared to Dog with, it's dramatically more, right? And so Dog with was 2024, right? So you know what I mean, like so that's why I think you're right. That is a good indicator to look at that and say, hey, I think that the participants that were in October 10th in terms of like the Solana DeFi market, they sold down a lot of their Fartcoin spot.
Well, even before that, right? Like, I mean, in June, July, when you saw the ETH pumping, you saw a lot of money leave Farcoin and go into some of these other sectors.
Not like this though. Not like this. I feel like 34 cents was
I mean, we saw this thing at 72 cents in June, July.
I know, but 72 cents was good. Like,
No, that's what I'm saying. But we saw it drop to 50 cents during the ETH push up. So I think that's when retail really started to get kind of lead.
But it was very short lived. It was like, and then it would jump back, and it actually got back over $1 too.
Yeah,
It got back over $1 because I remember I traded it at one point and I caught it at like 90 cents and I was like, okay, and then it got back to like 112. So
Yeah.
sitting at 34 cents, I just feel like this has been like decimated, right? It's been like obliterated.
It was a coin that had a high leverage on it as well, right? A lot of people we know. I mean, people were using a lot of leverage, so those leverage positions got wiped out, right? So those guys who were very risky. I mean, if you're taking leverage on Farcoin, you're in a very high risk zone of crypto, because not only you're not buying it spot, you're actually borrowing it, right? So, and I don't know.
But it was the leverage play though. If you remember it, like in terms of opportunity for that time. Like everybody that you talked to that was into trading and doing TA and all that stuff, they were in Farcoin, right? So, but anyways, the rest of the crypto market, like I said, it does look like it's a bit split here, 50-50. It's interesting to see which ones are green and which ones have kind of pulled back. And, Sonic has been really struggling, man, this year, really, I mean, it's its own blockchain. There's a lot of wrap BTC on there with Lombard and other stuff, and you got the king of DeFi, the guy that really kicked things off last cycle, is behind it. So I wonder if people are looking at that as a big discount or what. You see Barachain pulling back now. Barachain did do a hard fork. I think it was last week. They're down 3.3%. XPL down about 8%. This coin right here, CVCN, man, it's shown a lot of resilience. I feel like it's up 12%. So Courtney, hopefully you did well on that. One of our community members always shouts this one out. But yeah, that's Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the alt market for you guys.
Yep. And let's jump into the next thing here, which is roll call. Every single day we take the first comment of the day and we throw it on a spreadsheet. And so this is the spreadsheet right here. Congratulations, Hydro Sapien, with that first comment of today. He said, "No way, I made it. Let's rock the show with Bitcoin Orals." And shout out to Hydro Sapien. Appreciate you, my friend, locking you in for your 5th win of the year. Congratulations to you. Then we have WebDro is here. He said, "Hustle, looking good." And Runestones might finally bottomed. I'm curious where the Runestones are, actually. Let's check that out later. Remind me. Merlin's Lucky is here. Shout out to Merlin's Lucky. Super fan is here. Bitcoin is truth, my guy. Abstract. Chips and dip. K99 says, "I'm so bored." I am right there with you, man. Spinger says, "When bullish times?" I think it'll be Tuesday. What do you think? Tuesday?
On a Tuesday.
Vader Time is here. He says Vader Time answers the question. He said next week could be very bullish. We'll see. Ryan is here. Shout out to Ryan. He said, "What's up, Crypto Nation?" What's up, Ryan? Stans asks, "Does the channel have an opinion on Monad and its upcoming pre-sale on Coinbase?" I have an uneducated opinion, which is another thing where it's just like another blockchain on, I don't even know much about it. I probably haven't done my due diligence enough to actually dig in to see what makes them different and what makes them stand out. But I'll do that, Stan. I'll take a look at it and I'll give you a better educated answer. But do you have any opinion on this?
Just the fact that, like, people have been waiting for this. They did a KOL campaign pretty much, right, with those cards and stuff like that. And that could be a decent liquidity event that helps because people are going to be getting those that airdrop. Coinbase launching it big, I think. So I'm pretty bullish, but at the same time, it's like, the Tether launch with XPL and Plasma was big a couple months ago or whatever. And then you have Mega ETH also kind of competing with Monad a little bit in terms of launch, having their things. I mean, Monad's ahead of it, but in terms of timelines. So probably don't expect too much, but maybe like don't expect anything. And if we get that liquidity jolt, that'd be great for the markets.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a really good way of putting it. Just, if Some of the newer chains do really well. I remember when like Celestia launched, it was like a big deal, right? So, and then it just went
Different times.
Yeah, that's true. Ryan says, "What's up, everyone? Appreciate you all. Will be our week. Let's pump it." I think we gotta wait a week, Ryan. I think we gotta wait for the government to come out. We gotta wait for CPI to come out. We gotta get back to some normalcy when it comes to the government being opened. Ryan says, "Just hodl tight and keep stacking." My guy, he's like keeping the leverage flushed. Banks repo hit the red button. Liquidity injected by the Fed. Yes, we've seen that. 29 billion last week, and we solved your problem already. Super fan with a GM. Appreciate you, my friend. Let's see who we got. Ian, shout out to Ian is here. Super fan again. He said, I got your question already. Patty Poo, the Bitcoin machine himself. Shout out to Patty Poo, man. Absolute legend. Albert is here. Shout out to Albert. Cash Cats is here with the coffee and the donuts and the dog. Go to the moon. Shout out to Cash Cats. Myself says, these nuts are a security, he says. Explain the interest to me. Let me, I don't know what the question is. Do you have any idea what this question is?
Oh, explain the internet to me. So
the internet. Damn.
Yeah. So that was more about people not understanding crypto and all that stuff when that conversation was happening. But I always use that as an example. I think that was a great one myself. It's like you can go to like the smartest Harvard person that's studying something else and ask them, and they probably won't know, right? But there's all types of underwater cables and stuff too, and like a bunch of stuff that goes into that. It was DARPA, I think, was like the military internet that started it all, and all that stuff. I don't know how it goes, and I was actually like when I was in the Army, I actually worked in communications. I set up the local area networks, but like that's what I did. Like, I didn't say, hey, where does this go? Where does that go? Where does that go? But that's a great example myself there.
100%. And then we'll jump it over to Zora. We got a bunch of comments over here. I'm glad we're able to go live here. I mean, shout out to Twits, Mentality, Big Mom, My Queen, Soundgeist, Zora Mayers, Crypto Granny 05. Shout out to you. Smug Toe. Oh, the Bitcoin machine is over here. Shout out to you, my friend. Mentality, Vilton, shout out to Vilton. Shout out from the Philippines, he says. Shout out to Philippines. Shout out to you guys. Street photographer. Appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for watching over here and buying up this coin, which is cool. But I don't recommend, we're not pumping this coin or anything, so I don't recommend anyone buy it, but it's up to you. And then shout out to everyone who's watching from Pump Fun. Where'd my screen go? Oh, sorry. Shout out to everyone watching from Pump Fun. We got some comments over here as well. Shout out to all you guys who are over here. Just hopping in and saying hi, saying recorded. This is not recorded. This is live, my friend. But shout out to every single one of you guys who are watching over on Pump Fun. All right. Let's get into the next thing here. Kind of get out of roll call. All right. We got a bunch of more topics to go and get into here. All right. Wintermute actually came out with a statement today. They said this week marked a shift in tone more than direction. The dust from the October washout has mostly settled. Positioning has reset while crypto continues to lag broader risk assets. So Wintermute's bullish right now. Wintermute's coming out right now, and they're saying, hey, we're ready for the next phase of this bull run. And, the selling is done. Got to remember what Wintermute is. Wintermute is a market maker. Coinbase uses them. Binance uses them. A lot of these bigger exchanges use them. And let's just say a whale wakes up and he sells 10,000 Bitcoin. What will happen is, as they say, he sells it on Binance. Binance goes, takes that 10,000 Bitcoin, it sends it to Wintermute for them to go out and distribute that to a bunch of different places that they market make for, and get those, basically not dump the market, whether that's from the, the buy or the sell. Coinbase is Prime. They use it as well. When BlackRock settles their ETFs and it's a lot of outflow, they will use Wintermute. And so Wintermute is, I'm hoping, not seeing the influx of new crypto for them to dump. Is that kind of what you got from this as well?
Yeah, I feel like they are trying to let the overall market know that the deep pain part is probably we're past that. But the digital asset space is still kind of just needs more time to go into the risk on areas, right? And I think that's a lot to do with sustainability too. You know what I mean? Because, people are talking, like I was talking earlier about the new pairs and stuff. And like, how can you expect a new pairs to really sustain if the stuff that's already established isn't really sustaining, right? And it goes by levels. It ladders up, right? Of course, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, those top 10, and then you have some one-offs here, Hyperliquid, Merlin. They're able to figure out ways to kind of sustain themselves, right? But once you go down that risk curve, it's not, and so and new pairs are the very bottom of that, right? So
Yeah, no, 100%. But like Wintermute only really deals with, I think, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana, from my understanding, right? Or do you think they do it? Like,
I heard that they do deal with like newer newer coins that like jump to like a $50 million market cap or something like that, right? And gets
really?
listed and it gets listed on MEXC or some of these other ones. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. And from when I heard that, I got to find where I heard that from. It was on crypto Twitter. So maybe I'm wrong. I'm not sure, but obviously their primary focus is they have teams. They have multiple teams, right? That they're dealing with all this stuff, but the primary focus is going to be on the major stuff.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I think this was a really good sign. I think it's one of the first healing signs that we got. I don't think a lot of people are actually coming out and saying, because we're good friends with Jeff from Merlin Chain, and he's really tuned in. And he was telling us for a while, like, he still doesn't think the dust had settled. We didn't get a chance to talk to him this week, so we didn't get like the his newest feelings. But it is nice to hear Wintermute kind of saying, what, we think we're all in the clear from here on. So. All right. dYdX has officially announced that they're following a community vote. Both maker and taker fees have been removed for BTC and SOL perp markets, allowing users to trade these contracts free of charge. Would this make somebody actually want to leave Hyperliquid or leave Aster to go back to dYdX, one of the first ever decentralized perp dexes, and actually use this platform again because there's no fees on Bitcoin and Solana?
Yes. Fees.
Is that a big deal?
Well, I mean, it says allowing users to trade these contracts free of charge. Yeah. I mean, maybe they charge a very tiny platform fee now. People that scalp and that are trying to be extra safe and their margins are thin, want to take 20% gains or 15 to 20% gains, and they don't have huge size to work with. This helps them, right? And so, do I think it will make a huge mass migration over? Not necessarily, right? I think we got to see exactly how much people are saving. But like, if they can cut the fees by like a good percentage, that they're going to attract certain people.
Yeah, no, I agree, for sure. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I just can't imagine someone leaving Hyperliquid to go back to dYdX. Do you see that?
I mean, obviously, if the UI, I've never used dYdX. If the UI is not, people like Hyperliquid too because the UI. The UI is top notch. I mean, you're talking about centralized exchange level UI in a DeFi environment. Whatever, if you consider that DeFi or not. I mean, it is on chain and stuff like that. And so that matters. Convenience matters. Experience matters. So we'll see if dYdX can has a good UI, and if they do, then I could see them leaving. You saw people like James Wynn that publicly left Hyperliquid and went to Aster and now back and all these things and stuff, right? So Hyperliquid is crushing it this cycle. I mean, they are the winner of perps, even with Aster, jumping up there and market cap being backed by CZ and Binance, all that stuff. Hyperliquid was still the winner of perps.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Bullish. Tom Lee, Bitmine, now owns 12.4 billion Ethereum worth of Ethereum. The world's largest Ethereum treasury added 110,288 ETH this week, bringing the total holdings to 3.5 million Ethereum. Absolutely insane. They have about probably like 4 to 5% of the supply. I don't know the exact number of ETH I think we checked it before. Do you remember what it was? Check it right
What?
now.
How
The
many
amount of
ETH they have?
in circulation.
Uh,
So ETH in circulation is 120,000. So they have about
20
2%
million.
of 120
You said,
million. Yeah,
yeah.
120 million total ETH. So they have about 2% of the total supply, which is insane. But shout out to Tom Lee, man. Really kind of he just doesn't care. He's like the old Michael Saylor, but he actually has funds now to deploy when things get boring here.
Yeah, well, Michael Saylor had funds for a very long time, right? Like you can only buy $100 million or like $1 billion worth of Bitcoin so many times until that number starts to go down, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, 2% is huge because it's like whenever you get into like a new coin or something, and you're like that person holds 2%, you're just like, damn, But this is Ethereum. And so it's like, wow, that's like significant, right? That's very significant.
Yep. Every time Ethereum goes up or down $1, they get or lose $3.5 million. Because that's insane to think about it, dude. $1 changes their portfolio by 3 million. And if the ETH moves by $30 sometimes, so that's pretty insane. But so right now, Michael Saylor owns about $72 billion worth of Bitcoin. These guys own about $12.4 billion worth of ETH. Do you think there's ever a day where Bitmine holds more dollar value than the guys at MicroStrategy or Strategy?
I think we're probably in trouble if that happens.
Well, that could mean ETH's winning. ETH does a 4x from here, right?
Yeah, but also, yeah,
I definitely see it happening.
I don't know how the public would take that, because then is there like a lack of confidence in MicroStrategy and what their plan has been? You know what I mean? Does that break down?
No, because I think at that point they'll hold over, let's just say $100 billion worth of Bitcoin, and that's just it. But these guys own, I don't know, 1.2, because I think we all can say, hey, ETH at 3.5K. I'm thinking it minimum does a 5x from here, which means they're already sitting on 12 times 5, right? So it's a ton of money. $60 billion, which is right under Mike Saylor, and we think Bitcoin you could double from there as well, right, to something. So we'll definitely see. But I think Ethereum could do in the next 10 years, it could potentially do a 10-20x against Bitcoin's 7 or 8x.
Yeah, but the multiplier gets smaller as Ethereum increases, and same thing with Bitcoin, obviously, right? So I don't know. I think that's an interesting thing to think about.
Yeah,
we'll see here in 3 years, or however long it takes for however long it takes for these assets to appreciate at that level.
I think Tom Lee beats Saylor next year. I think it's going to happen in like.
Are you rooting for him too?
Yeah, I am.
I can tell.
I like Tom Lee more than I like Saylor. Saylor's just so close-minded, and I feel like he was like that, back when he was an Apple investor, and he was close-minded against like things like Bitcoin, right? But now he's it takes him a while to like open up. So, but I think he's going to open up other cryptocurrency soon.
Has he recently spoken out against other coins or?
Well, there is no second best.
Yeah,
I mean, come on, like he's always said it. There isn't. He said, Bitcoin is not crypto. Bitcoin is digital gold and all sorts of stuff. And he's just not proponent for crypto. He's a proponent for Bitcoin. He said that, multiple times.
But even if he does say those kind of things publicly, I think he understands like the value of the market in general. Like if everything else went away, then that, in my opinion, that hurts Bitcoin, because then you're talking about like literally like gold at that point, which is pretty boring in the end of the day. Like you don't think about silver, I'm going to get into titanium, I'm going to get into these things, you know what I mean? So I think Bitcoin needs the crypto market, and the crypto market needs Bitcoin. I think they need each other. So
yeah. Well, I don't know. People were all crazy about gold about 2 weeks ago. So they're standing in line for 4 to 5 hours to buy shiny rocks. So
but they do look at it in terms of value against silver and stuff like that, you know what I mean? So it does stand out in that way.
Yeah, for sure. Zapp.app, the app for potentially for runes. We don't know exactly what it is yet, but it's potentially going to drop today. If you go to the site right now, Zapp.app, this is all you kind of get. Well, we do know Leonidas is building a Tinder for meme coins. I don't really know what that means. I've never really used Tinder either, so I don't really. I know it's a swipe right, swipe left thing. But how do you feel about that potentially dropping today? And do you have a strategy for it? Let's just say if there's a launch pad, will you be playing on it day one?
Yes. Because like I just like want to do something fun right now, and I'm
Yeah.
not on pump fun playing because it's like guaranteed lose right there,
Yeah.
right? So something that would be more more friendly and more of a fair shot because it's new, right? So I would definitely would dabble with it. Nothing crazy, just also get a fill out for the app, right?
Yeah.
The tender thing just really kind of throws me off though. I'm just like, I get it, it's swiping, but is that the only correlation, or is it
So
like
this is what's going to be. It's going to be like you're just going to swipe up, like you're on TikTok, and the cryptocurrency is going to pop up, and you can swipe right to buy, or you can swipe left to sell, right? And then you can just swipe back up and keep swiping them. Oh, well, what's this market cap? That's cool. Swipe up, swipe up. So it's not going to be like anything like out of the ordinary than we've seen. It's just swipe right to buy, swipe left to sell. Just especially when you're using Solana, you can actually go that fast. Where it's like swipe right, swipe right, swipe right, and then you buy a bunch of it, and then you kind of move on and come back to it later.
but I can manually like touch it and then change the numbers, right?
Yeah, that's just gonna be one of the features. Like I think
So
you'll be able to do it the old way
buy.
as well. Yeah.
It's like the lightning buy, basically, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just, I'm definitely interested, and kudos to Leonidas for launching something in a time to where runes absolutely positively needed something like this. I mean, I'm not saying it's a success already because we haven't messed with it, but it's brought some of them to life. Some of the runes on layer 1. So
Yeah, but this is nothing new. Like Bob Bodley did this in January.
it's the
Guys from
marketing
I know,
and
but
who's
the guys
behind
from
it.
Moonshot did this, right? They did this before. And this is just Leonidas, right? He's the dog father. He doesn't give a shit about any other runes, right? Like he only cares about dog. So why are you just going to use this to buy
I don't
dog?
agree with
It's
that.
just
I don't agree with that. He doesn't care about any other runes besides dog. I think he cares about dog obviously the most.
He cares about the okay. I'll give him the top 4, right? The ones he got on. It's still the same thing. He cares about a group of them. Why does he care about new ones? He doesn't like the new ones. He doesn't like the ones that drop.
Then he wouldn't have a launchpad integrated into it.
Well, he is. Well, I mean, it was stupid not to. Why would you use it?
So then why would he care? Why would he not like try to like promote the launch pad? You know what I mean? If like people are, he doesn't care about new ones, right? It's like that he would not be benefiting his business. So I think that he's misunderstood a bit. I think that yes, he does point out dog, Billy, the top 4 a lot, but it's because those are the ones that are the most brandable and marketable at the moment. But he will push it, to encourage people to probably, get into new runes and stuff, not necessarily by name, but hey, there could be some excitement happening with some of these new things, and he could talk. And another thing about him that's different, and not a shot at anybody, Leonidas is different in terms of like the influence that he has kind of behind him, right? He's going to probably talk about it on the Ordinal show every time he goes on Spaces. He'll probably do another round of interviews. He'll probably be back on our show, which we always welcome on here, and to talk about his product and stuff like that. So I think that there is a chance for just new excitement. Does it just make the rune space electric and everybody's rushing over here? Probably not. I'm not saying that, but it does give some energy back to it, and we've already seen a little bit of that on Magic Eden.
Yeah, this is by the rumor shell the news, right? We've seen this every single time there's any type of runes excitement, especially when the Kraken listings. We saw how it ended up. It's just right now. It's just early buyers get in, they buy it up. As soon as the retail re-enters, the people come back to buy their bags back, and they dump on them. We've seen it so many times. Leonidas is building the Odin fun on Solana, right? But he ignores Odin fun. He doesn't, when he talks about any type of rune, there is a rune that is actually bigger than dog. It's called Crypto Berg, and it is the #1 token on Odin. but he ignores them. He doesn't talk about any of them.
You should say the full name because like
Crypto Burger.
Okay, Crypto Burger. Because like,
but the actual token's name, the ticker is Crypto Burg.
I know, but like it sounded like Crypto Bird, and so I was like, okay,
Crypto Bird.
which is even more weird that it's Crypto Burger and it's sitting at what 355.
At the last time I checked, it was about double dog.
Double dog dare you.
So yeah, Crypto Burg is sitting at 350. Dog is sitting 167. So it's about 80% bigger than Dog, and that's what I'm saying. Leonidas is building this exact thing over on Solana, but he ignores the large caps that are. I mean, look at this. Crypto Burg is number one. BitCat is number two. For SETI Skin is Foreskin is around 32 million. But the next one is Mim. So it's like the top five are all
top five
are all Odin
top out of the top
except
five.
Dog.
Four, yeah. Out of the top
so
five,
it's just like four of the top five are Odin runes, and he's basically ignores Bob bodily, and Bob's a good guy. It's not like Bob's a scumbag. Right?
Does he a great guy.
He's never ever he had Bob on the show in January, but that's it. Completely ignores it. When Bob added Dog, he didn't promote it.
No, he did. He was a part of the movement to get liquidity over there.
Not over here. That was on Solana
and over here and over here. So. Yeah, they had spaces about it, but it didn't really create much motion for like the OG runes, as you can see, and so I think because it didn't create a ton of motion, he probably kind of fell back on it a bit,
because 42 holders.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It didn't create much motion in terms of, and it's tough, right? Because like, even if you're a whale, right, it doesn't really incentivize you to pour into Dog necessarily over here, because there's so many other variables that affect the overall market cap with Dog, right? Because there's whales in other places like Magic Eden, Kraken, all these things. And so the whales that are in the Odin ecosystem are taking advantage of the ones that they can benefit on, right? They're going to top blast Crypto Burger when it's at $40 million market cap, because if it gets to 300, that's what is that? Almost a 6x, right? Over a 6x, right? Like 6.2 or 5 or something like that, right? So they're 50 grand that they put into Crypto Burg at 40 million is now worth, I don't know, like 250 grand, right? So that's a big win for them. But on the Dog side, it's tough because they won't see the benefit for that. They're not going to blast that in the Odin. So, how does this benefit with this new product? I think he's just really trying to give. First of all, it's a business, right? There's going to be a business aspect behind it, so fees. Secondly, more kind of, let people know that are not in the ecosystem about it and stuff like that. I'm excited to see what it's going to be like. I'm going to test it out. I'm going to try it.
I'm 100%. Like, there's no if as long as there's a launch pad. If I go there and it's just the OG runes, I'm just going to hit X and just walk away. I'm not participating. I don't like the OG runes. Like, I'm just not a fan of them anymore. I want new. I want exciting. I want to get in something at 15K market cap and it runs to 10 million. That's what I want. That's what that's the kind of stuff that I'm trying to get into. And you can find those in the early days of launch pads. You really can, because there is no other narrative. There is no everything starts eventually at these low market caps and moves up, right? That's why we found soon over on Luminex at 20K, right? So it's just one of those things. That's what I'm looking for. I don't want to invest in Gizmo at 2 million and then get all excited when it hits 20. Like, it's just not fun to me, and that might take like the entire cycle. But yeah, speaking of Luminex, we're still waiting for a launch. One of the Luminex developers actually came out and he said, we're working in person with Spark, pushing daily load testing and improvements. It's really won't be long for a stable release. So he's saying right here that it's not going to be long now. I'm actually expecting this to be next week. What would you say?
I hope next week. because people have been waiting on that. But at first, I think there's a lot of people that was kind of like, man, I need to get my Bitcoin out and all this stuff. But now I think people are chilling because the market sense of it is like, well, maybe it's good that like I'm kind of trapped in some of these like new or from some of the first coins over there, right? I hope it's next week. I hope it's by next week though, just because people are looking right now is a perfect time. Actually, not right necessarily, but next week would be right because people are looking for options right now too. They're looking for hope. They're looking for some sort of wins. They need some wins, and Solana is not delivering any of that. And the other ecosystems are pretty dry themselves. Even 4.meme is on BSC. So next week maybe the market gets a little bit better because we did say 3 weeks, the first 3 weeks of November kind of healing still happening. Then next week we'll kind of be closing that up. You heard Wintermute, which by the way, they don't really post very often on sentiment and stuff like that, right? So maybe we do start to inch forward into more of a positive sentiment next week. Can be at the end of next week or whatever. But perfect timing. Let's get it done. Flashnet, Spark, and Luminix.
Superfan said, I saw a random dude with an Odin hat. I said, nice hat, bro. He smiled a bit. Turns out it was Bob Bottley. One of the nicest guys he's ever met. So that's pretty funny. I wasn't expecting that. It turned out to be Bob Bottley. I guess I should have for sure. But shout out to Superfan and a shout out to Bob Bottley. I just want Bobby at the respect that he deserves. That's it. Because he created something absolutely amazing, and Leo's kind of copying it.
Okay, from that aspect, sure, I guess, but he gets a lot of respect. We actually met
him in the West.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So we actually met, we had the, pleasure of meeting Bob in Nashville, and you're right, super fan, super nice dude, just really had regular conversation with us about the ecosystem and stuff. But the East, from what we heard from somebody, is when he was at Hong Kong, Bitcoin Asia, they were following him like a posse of Chinese Bob fans. They were just like, when he would go outside of the building, they were behind him and all that stuff. But I mean, like, kudos to him, right? He did work really hard and got through a lot of difficult times with the platform, and now he's he hit $1 billion in volume. Congratulations, Bob Bottley and Odin and Omnity and the ICP. People sleep on the ICP scalability with Bitcoin. There's gonna be stuff that comes out, and you guys are gonna be like, wow. So,
yeah, 100%. I'm very bullish on ICP. I'm very bullish on Bob. And if this is a copycat of Odin with Leonidas,
it's not gonna be because it's the swipe. It's the swipe.
Stop it, bro. I mean, no one's gonna use it.
That's different.
No one's gonna use it. Like it's a child. That's like the stupid shit where they were like, oh, just tap this 900 times and you'll get some reward points. Like, F off. I'm not doing that. I just want
That's
you know what I mean?
That is different though.
It's the same. It's
when you first heard of Tinder though, and they were telling you about that, did you not think it was weird?
Yeah, I thought it was the weirdest fucking thing ever. I was like, wait a minute.
And then everybody used it. And then everybody used it. Like
I don't know a single person who used it.
Really? Like there was definitely a time where it was like
it came out when I was like married with kids, right? So it's like, and I don't like friends, like, you know what I mean? Like I don't talk to people outside of crypto. So it was one of those things where I didn't, and crypto dudes don't use that shit. They're all like,
I don't like people.
That's kind of why we sit on the internet and talk about cryptocurrency, right? So I don't know. You know people who actually used it? I don't know anyone.
Oh yeah, back in those days, it was like when it first came out, it was the #1 app on the Apple App Store for the longest time. But it changed like how people use dating apps and all that stuff, you know. But I do have a hard time like visualizing. But other than I guess swiping is doing the quick buy, instant buy. So I don't know.
Superfan says, I don't like friends. Best quote ever. I honestly just don't like normies. I'm going to start a trend. It's going to be punch normie day. You just got to go punch a random normie. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. But that's our show, guys. Really appreciate you guys, man. We're about to do a recording with Beyond here in about 20 minutes, but we really appreciate every single one of you guys each and every day hanging out with us. Absolutely awesome.
Yes, absolutely fun show today. Appreciate each and every one of you guys. Without you guys, we could not do this. We emphasize that every single day because we're just very appreciative of all of you guys. But also without our partners, we couldn't do it. So if you could check them out, that would be amazing. Emblem Vault is the interoperability layer of the Bitcoin ecosystem. If you are looking to jump your Bitcoin ordinals or NFTs like Counterparty, Rare Pepes, etc., over to Ethereum, you got to use Emblem Vault. They have the most experience of doing this. They started doing it in 2021 with Rare Pepes, and now you can actually take a loan out against your Taproot Wizard on Ethereum using the Gandhi application, which is the largest borrowing and lending application on Ethereum. But the Emblem guys are opening this up to other layers and environments, and Solana is one of those. And speaking of Solana, they have the best AI product in the Solana ecosystem with agenthustle.ai. You can actually use the free subscription. It is free, but you are limited with tool sets and prompts. But you can ask Hustle, hey, find me some low cap gems in the Solana ecosystem. He'll find you a couple, give you reasons why he thinks they are solid. He can also make conditional trades for you on these memes or any Solana token. So you can go to the gym, go to the grocery store, whatever you need to do, and Hustle will take care of those conditional trades for you. But it's not only Solana that Hustle works in. Solana also works in Hedera, as you know, the team has partnered with the foundation over at Hedera to make this the #1 AI agent on Hedera Hashgraph. So they are definitely cooking over there. You can search for hot new tokens on Hedera. You can use it to get information on Hedera, but also they are going to be releasing the EVM version of this as well. This is going to open up to Ethereum and BSC and other EVM type of change. So really big. And I just heard Hedera conditional trading is live now. So you definitely want to take advantage of that before the Hedera ecosystem explodes, right? Because they have their launch pads and stuff over there. I think Hustle is going to be the one-stop shop to where, you know, I don't need to mess with my MetaMask. I don't need to mess with my Phantom. I'm just going to be in Hustle. I have it loaded up for all of the ecosystems. Make a trade. What's hot? What chain is hot right now? Hustle's going to take care of that for me because he's cool. You got to talk to him for a little bit, get to know him. No, I'm just kidding. But anyways, also, there is another product within the ecosystem called Migrate.fun. And if you launched a token within the Solana ecosystem on one of the launch pads, Pump Fund, Bonk.fun, Believe, and you want to migrate to another launch pad or just migrate to Radium and manage your own LPs because you get the most fees doing that, they can help you with the liquidity part that, you know, getting that out. Of course, you want your community on board with that, but, you know, they've already gone through the second cohort's in progress right now. The first cohort was amazing, smooth. They did learn a lot from it, but the second one is in progress right now. Some big brands like Pay AI's in it. But the next available spots, go reach out to them at migrate.fun or at emblem.vision. Ask if you qualify. You know, they'll ask you a couple questions and then they can kind of walk you through the process there. So make sure you head over to migrate.fun, check it out, and head over to emblem.vision to, you know, see the breakdown of all those products I just explained to you guys. And then Merlin Chain is uniting Bitcoin strength to the power of AI. They have their own Wizard version 2.0 AI agent that can guide you through Merlin Chain's ecosystem. It can also do cross-chain swaps for you for Solana and BNB. All you got to do is have some Merlin Bitcoin in your wallet. And going back to the Merlin Chain ecosystem, it can do DeFi swaps with Merlin Swap, or it can stake for you on your behalf, right? And speaking of staking, Merlin Chain is ran with the proof of stake security system, right? Security model there. And you can participate in 3 ways. The first one is staking Bitcoin to earn more Bitcoin. Their first staking vault ended September 30th. It was 3 months, and they got back 17% APR for their stakers. So amazing APR staking Bitcoin to earn more Bitcoin, right? And the second staking vault is open right now. It does close January 8th. It's a 3-month vault. Obviously, it's not 3 months right now because it did open a couple weeks ago, but you can get in now and earn as much as you can, but they're going to be shooting for that same APR. The minimum is 8%, maximum 21%. So definitely want to participate in that before it gets too late. And then the other 2 options is for the Merlin Chain token, the Merl token. There is the first day-to-day, the flexible option, which you earn 15% APR. You can claim your rewards daily. You can roll them up into a compound interest strategy if you want. You can sell them, keep them in your wallet, Do whatever you want. None of that's financial advice. You do what you want with it, but you get access to it. If you do want to pull out on that flexible option, there is a 7-day cooldown period, so just know that. And the last option is the bonded, which is a 6-month lockup period, but you earn 45% APR. And another cool thing, you can claim those rewards daily as well. Do whatever you want with them, but you can claim them daily. So make sure you're checking them out at merlinchain.io. You can check out the ecosystem there. They're going to have some big news coming up in the future, you know, constantly doing something new, partnering with another entity, but these guys are crushing it, and so is Emblem. We love our partners, and we love you guys as well. Thank you so much for checking them out. You're muted.
Yep. So you guys have a few more minutes. Wouldn't mind checking out OnChain Revolution and .io. We have some of the best articles dating all the way back to 2023. If you know someone just entering the space, please send them our website. We really feel like you help them get started and code up where we are today. Q4 sentiment outlook. Definitely check this article out if you haven't yet. We'll have another one up this week for sure, but check out the last couple as well, X402 and the crypto outlook, with why the next 90 days could be parabolic. I still believe that. So definitely check that article out if you haven't. If you guys need a VPN, I highly recommend Nord. I use it every single day, and you guys should too, because having a VPN means privacy, right? You don't want to be going to these websites and giving your IP address out. That actually could lead back to your home address. You don't want that. I don't want that. And on top of that, it'll allow you to use sites, that geo-block you because of your location. Sites like Hyperliquid, sites like MEXC, two places that I use on a daily basis. Definitely recommend this VPN if you are, because you can put yourself to Italy. Right now, Italy seems to be one of the fastest servers they have there, and I like it there too because I'm able to put it on Hyperliquid and MEXC and any website that I want to go on that has crypto intentions to do stuff with that geo-block it. So if you ever feel geo-blocked, just get a VPN, get Nord. You can lock it in for $2.99 a month. Don't go to the website itself. Go to our link here, lock it in for 2 years, set it, forget it, be done with it, and check out everything you need to know from there. And on top of that, our store running out of time. We're going to be discontinuing our store. It is costing us more money to put up than we're actually getting. Turns out people do not want to buy merch right now. Everyone's broke. So we're going to be discontinuing the store here. So if you do want something from our store, you have another 3 to 4 days to get it, and then it'll be gone forever. So, well, we might bring it back if things get bullish again and people aren't as poor as they are today. So I will say, but yeah, so check out our store here for sure. Remember, guys, we are live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific, and 3 p.m. UTC. Check us out all week, guys. And until tomorrow,
peace.
OnChain Revolution roll call. Market recap. You're not bullish enough. No. You're not bullish enough. No. Look at the price go. Bitcoin control. Why you still coping? Price action rolling. Don't fall for bear trap. Swapping indexes and putting it up in the sex. I can take profit right now. OnChain is where I be now. You can never look back. They don't want you to know. How did the market react? Fear and greed, gotta adapt. Now we bridging the tokens and marching the network right now. You know how crazy we are. Nookies are savages now. They know how crazy we are. Chain abstraction, main attraction. OnChain Revolution.